Okay, and we are live.
Yay.
Whoops. Oh, there we go. Welcome, everybody.
We have attendees.
I'm seeing a lot of familiar names on the webinar today. Welcome, everybody.
All right, as people are getting signed up and get into the webinar here, we're just going to take just 90 seconds to 2 minutes to make sure everybody that registered is here and got everything pulled up, and then we'll get going. So thanks for joining right on time, everyone. If you want to take a moment to just let us know where you're coming from and what type of business you run, just a snippet in the chat function in Zoom. We love to see where people are at and what they're doing or thinking about using When I Work for.
We always see a ton of really cool use cases on the webinar, tons of different types of companies, and everyone is always from somewhere really cool. It makes me jealous. Someone's always from the Bahamas. So welcome, everybody.
Yes, as in our false spring up here. I live in northern Minnesota, so they're just teasing us with like 60-degree days, and then the next week and a half isn't over 50. It's frustrating for all of us, and I know it's not just happening in Minnesota.
Classic.
We've had a few more people join in the last few seconds, so we'll just probably get rolling here in the next 30 seconds. So just to give anybody that needs a little extra time to get into the webinar.
I'm seeing so many great chats from everyone. Thanks for answering. We have hospitals, construction sites and projects, another hospital, staffing agency, and we do schedule for all these types of companies. We are not limited to just one type of scheduling, one type of company. So welcome, everybody. We can probably find a great use case for you and your business. Someone said, yay, Minnesota.
All right, let's get rolling here. So hello, official hello, and welcome to our live Q&A webinar. My name is Tori, and this is Marie. I'm sharing my screen. I'll show you guys in an account the answers to your questions that you pose, and Marie will be the one who's kind of curating the questions that are submitted and reading them out loud for me to address. So yeah, just during the next 30 minutes or so here, we'll be answering your When I Work related questions, and we'll show you some ways that you can save time scheduling, as well as cut down on overtime costs and cut down on the time it takes to run payroll to almost nothing. So we're going to close the chat portion of Zoom, and the Q&A portion is there, and that's the tool that we're going to use to for you guys to send in questions and for us to address them with the account pulled up on my screen. So feel free to start sending questions now through Zoom's Q&A feature, and it's located in the taskbar toward the bottom of the Zoom window. And the questions will be flowing, and we're going to get to as many as we can. If your question does not get answered live and you would like further assistance, you can always chat with us after the webinar from the When I Work web app and listen for more information on how to get in contact with us and the customer care team towards the end of the webinar. And if you are totally new to When I Work and checking our plans, we will outline how you can go about upgrading your account. If you like the tools we've showed you today, if you're joining us to just ask questions on your existing account, we welcome those as well. So let's get started. Is my account up, Marie? Everything's looking good on your end?
Right now, I'm seeing the live Q&A session screen.
Oh no. It hasn't switched over yet?
Changing the screen.
Screen sharing is paused. Let's go. I'll get it here. Boom.
No worries. And while
this is why we checked. Here we go.
Yes, this is why we always check because this is me every single time.
I had just shared the Google Chrome browser instead of my desktop one, so that was definitely all on me and not on Zoom. So we love Zoom.
We do. And I can see your screen now, so we are good to go.
Sweet.
All right, so we do have a first question, and the question is, could you clarify positions versus shift templates? And this is a really great beginning question just about how When I Work works.
Yeah, absolutely. So positions. This is the positions page. I probably did that too fast. So if you want to, so like this, we call this the workplace menu. It looks like a small storefront there. So if you hover over that, you'll see a bunch of different categories here, which is features and functionality that you can manage. So I hovered over that and clicked positions to be brought to the positions page for this account. And positions are, they're a duty or a role that you can assign to employees and shifts in the scheduler that just helps them know what they're doing, what their shift, like what their job is, basically what their role is for that shift. And so how those look in the scheduler would be if you click into a shift that's either already exists or you're creating a new one, you assign a position to the shift. And so for Julia Child here, she has a handful of positions assigned, or 2 positions assigned to her manager in inventory. Also, you can post shifts with no position, and you can also assign positions that the employee isn't qualified for, even if you want, like if they're just working a one-off shift or not. So that's the positions feature. And shift templates is slightly different. It doesn't necessarily, it works in conjunction with positions, but they're not necessarily the same thing. Shift templates are a way to save a shift that you've created to be able to quickly load it into the scheduler at a later time or for a different employee. So like if let's say I'm looking to schedule Julia here on Friday the 14th, I would select this, and then this is going to show the shift templates that I have already created that Julia is qualified for. And you can also see these little flags of OT if you want to use those settings, but we don't have to get into that now. You can also choose to show templates that Julia is not assigned to, or the employee is not qualified to work, and load those in as well. And so to like create a new shift template, you can click into the shift or create a shift from scratch, a custom shift in the scheduler. And then before you save it, just click Save as Shift Template, and that will be automatically saved as a new shift template that can be loaded in later. If you want to manage your shift templates, you'll just hover over that workplace menu in the navigation bar and select Shift Templates here. And so this would show all of the shift templates that you've saved. They can be color coordinated. You can change all of the details here. You can assign positions to, or different positions to the shift template. All shift template management can be done from the shift templates page. And that is an excellent question. Thank you for asking it.
Awesome. All right, we have a question that kind of goes along with using positions and shift templates. And it's Sandra, and she asks, what is the easiest way to be sure that your employees match the particular shift requirements?
I can highlight that as well. So I'm gonna navigate again. This is the workplace menu is going to be one of your best friends in the account, and so I'm going to hover over that and navigate to the employees page, which is also just a great page to highlight here in this Q&A webinar. But this is everybody that has a profile in the account. You can see what their access level is right above their name here. So Alice Waters is an employee. We got Bobby Flay as a manager here. We have Emerald as a supervisor. And then if you click on their name or the pencil icon in the actions row, that'll bring up their profile, which has a few different tabs here that you can explore and get into. And if you click on the assignments tab, you're going to see what schedules they have been assigned to and would show up in. So you can schedule shifts for them in those schedules in the scheduler page. And then also the positions that they are qualified to work. And I kind of highlighted this a little bit when I was discussing positions and shift templates before. So this is a good addition to that. As a schedule manager, you can still assign shifts that with positions that they aren't qualified for. It would show you that they're not qualified for it, just as a reminder, just to make sure that you're aware that, hey, this person should only be working food runner shifts, but you've got them assigned to a barista shift. And I can show you what that looks like in the scheduler as well. So we got a manager over here. So if I was trying to move this over to Paula Dean, who is not listed or who's not qualified for the manager position, you're going to see that thumbs down show up when you're trying to assign that shift. And you would see a thumbs up if everything is good to go. If Julie is qualified for this shift, and that's going to give you a thumbs up. Thank you for that question.
Awesome. And just to go off of that more, if you're using open shifts or the auto scheduler, so unassigned shifts, the system will always make sure that your employees have to be assigned to the correct positions and tags for them to be able to be assigned those shifts via the auto scheduler or pick up those shifts via the open shifts tool. So pretty much everything in When I Work is built around those positions, those qualifications. So it will really make sure that you aren't scheduling the wrong people for the wrong shifts. That's one of the big things in When I Work. We're going to make sure that the right employees are scheduled for those right shifts, essentially. All right, we have a next question, and Terry asks, how do I use the auto scheduler option now that you mentioned it?
Nice. All right, let's get a fresh week here. And I'm going to highlight another tool here. I think, let's hope I'm not wrong. So I'm going to copy the previous week. So I just moved forward. So this is the week that we were in. This is next week. I'm going to move forward to a blank week so I can highlight this. And I can actually copy the shifts over from the previous week using this wrench menu. Some people call it a spanner, but I always use a wrench, which I could totally be wrong. But so the wrench tools, and I'll copy previous week. And I'm actually going to copy previous week's shifts to open shifts here. So instead of being assigned to the people that they were assigned to in the previous week, this is just going to move them all up into that top green open shifts row. And doing that always copies them over unpublished. You can tell a shift is unpublished because it is candy striped in your view of the scheduler as a schedule manager. Employees cannot see unpublished shifts on their end. They're kind of in rough draft mode. Only schedule managers would be able to view and manage unpublished shifts. So if you ever have like employees saying, I can't see the schedule, and you're like, well, I can see it, make sure that everything's been published and that there's not any shifts so that their shifts aren't striped in the scheduler. So moving on to auto scheduling shifts. So when you have unpublished shifts in the open shifts row here, you can run the auto scheduling tool. And you got a little tooltip there that explains it as well. And so you can select auto schedule shifts, and you're going to be brought up with a couple more options that you can read through and select to respect availability preferences, to respect unavailability preferences, allow employees to be assigned to multiple shifts in a day if you kind of have shifts broken up into smaller chunks. And also there's a setting where you can assign like the max hours that you want to have an employee assigned for a week, and you can have the auto scheduler respect that as well. So you got the don't go over max hours here. And I'm not going to mess with these right now. I just wanted to highlight them. So I'm going to just run the auto scheduler so you can see how that looks. So this is important. So once you run the auto scheduler, you actually have a chance to revert. If you clicked it on accident and you don't want the shifts where they are, you can click revert, and that would just move everything back to the open shifts row. And then if you click save shifts, it's not the end either, but saving the shifts after you run the auto scheduler will bring you just right back to the normal scheduler page. You can see that these are still unpublished, so you can do any rearranging or managing that you want to do with specific shifts if you know that there's kind of some certain scheduling things that weren't taken into account by the auto scheduler. So you can adjust that and then publish the shifts when you're ready to. So that was like a 10,000 foot overview of the auto scheduling tools. It's a great tool to kind of just disperse shifts. I always do recommend that people kind of check and do some fine tuning after they add those shifts. So it's not going to do all of the scheduling work for you, but many accounts really like to use the auto scheduler as a good kind of initial guide when they're setting schedules and creating schedules or assigning out shifts for the week.
Great. Thanks, Tori. Our next question from Deborah, and she said, we built our staff schedules and positions out, and what is the best way to set up your first schedule now that you have all that information built out in your account? And so this might be a great place for some fun tricks, tips, and making scheduling easier.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how you schedule, like the first schedule you create, whether you're talking about kind of just a week in the schedule or a month, I always recommend starting out in week view, because that's the view that kind of gives you the most tools, the most features and functionality, like just the most options to kind of get a good swath. I know a lot of people like the range of time that month view in the scheduler, and I'll bring us over there too. Month view in the scheduler has, but just due to all of the data there, there are certain tools like the wrench menu tools cannot be used in month view. So I really do recommend doing most of the heavy lifting, if possible, while you're in week view of the scheduler, and then using the other views to either fine tune a specific day or review everything you've done in month view. And there's still tons of scheduling tools available in all of the views, but I highly recommend, especially initially, starting with just 1 week and moving on from there. And so at that point, you would just be creating shifts. And if you hadn't done any shift templates or anything like that, and you know that like this 8 to 5 manager shift is something you're going to be using every week for one person or multiple people, saving that as a shift template is a great thing to do. If you have static schedules or even like rotational schedules where every like 4 weeks you kind of repeat the same 4 weeks over and over again, but those weeks are slightly different with the shifts, you can save a week that you've created in the scheduler as a schedule template, different from a shift template. So that would be saving the entire, like all the shifts in your view of the scheduler as a schedule template that you can then load into future weeks. So I'm just going to quickly show how that looks. So I'm going to save this one. I'm just going to say test week and save template. And then let's go to a blank week, and then I can load in that template I just saved, and it'll be exactly like it was when I saved it. And this is kind of similar to the auto scheduling shifts situation, where it gives you a couple different options here. So you can either overwrite conflicts. So if there were shifts already present in this week of the scheduler, you can choose to overwrite the shifts that you're loading into the scheduler will overwrite the shifts that were already there. You can allow duplicates so if somebody has a shift that conflicts with one you're loading in, they'll both show up and you can manage it later. You can avoid conflicts, and that means any shifts that you're loading into the schedule that conflict with shifts that are already present will just be popped up into the open shifts row. Or I can choose to, just like I did with copying the previous week, you can load the schedule template into open shifts, which is great. And so I'm actually going to show that. So this is just loading them into open shifts. So I just loaded my saved schedule template, but I chose to load it into open shifts. And if this week's a little different, I can just drag and drop where I want them. And if I wanted to run the auto scheduler after I did that, you can do it. So it's a mixed bag, whatever works for you and however you want to manage the schedule. It really comes down to personal preference. We're here to walk you through any of the specific tools or shortcuts if you have questions. But WhenIWork has a ton of ways to make scheduling quick, easy, straightforward for you. One last shortcut I want to highlight is also just the repeating shifts shortcut. So if you've got a shift that you know is going to be the same for this person for 6 months, for a year, you can set that shift to repeat. And there's a couple different ratios. So you can set it from it'll repeat every 1 week, every 6 weeks, anything in between there. And you can also set the end date for how long you want it to repeat. So if I want Julia, I know she's going to be working on this until my birthday in August, I will set that shift to repeat and save it. And then now you'll see the little repeating shift icon there on her shift. And if we move forward, boom, there it is all the way through Monday, August 9th. Thanks for letting me highlight some of our shortcuts. That was a good question.
Awesome. I love talking about shortcuts. That's what we're here for, to make life easier. Ryan has a question about the attendance tool and if he can have employees clocking in and out on their mobile phones.
Oh, yes. So the question was just about clocking in and out on their mobile phones?
Yeah, and I think it
Okay,
might be cool just to highlight the attendance tool in its
absolutely.
entirety.
Perfect. All right, so starting with the attendance tool. So WinAtWork has two primary platforms. Every plan, every account has the scheduling platform, has access to the scheduling platform. And then we also have an optional time clock and attendance platform if you'd like to use that and add that onto your plan as well. It's included in the free trials. If any of you guys are either thinking about a free trial or in the middle of one now, you do have access to those features as well. But if you don't want to use them, you can choose to not include that additional platform in your plan when you select a paid subscription plan. So as a schedule manager, this is kind of your attendance navigation tools here. But I do want to start highlighting the attendance settings because that's where you're going to start if you're kind of setting things up for your team. So the attendance settings, this is where you can select what type of time clock methods you want your team to use. And WinAtWork has three primary time clock methods. The first and the most used is definitely the clock in with mobile app option. And so that can be enabled by toggling this switch. So it's green and clicking save. And then also clocking in with a personal computer. And so that is when an employee would clock in or would log in to their profile on a computer browser, and they would just use the attendance header in the navigation bar to clock in or out here. And then a third option that doesn't exist in the settings because it's kind of an external option is also our time clock terminal, which you can enable in a computer browser just as easily as you can clock in. So you can lock as a terminal here, and this would turn into a time clock terminal. It would take up the whole browser window, and employees just enter their email or their employee ID that you've created and assigned to them to clock in and out on the terminal. So it's basically like an old school like punch clock. It's just digital. And what's great about the terminal is that you can also create one on an iPad, a tablet, a mobile device by downloading WinAtWork's time clock terminal app. And then a manager would just authorize it to turn it into an authorized time clock terminal that employees can use. So tons of organizations utilize that. But back to the clock in with mobile app, you can choose to turn on geofencing and location restrictions as well if you want to make sure that your team is clocking in from the appropriate location or clocking out. And so when you enable either of those, you're going to see another option where you can select the radius for how close employees must be to their scheduled location. And the default and the minimum is 100 meters. And that doesn't seem like a lot. You're like, that's a football field. I don't want somebody clocking in down the road. Just know that the GPS signals are all about satellites and towers and triangulation. So if you have it at 100 meters and your team's like, I'm standing at the front door and it's not letting me clock out, the first step to just troubleshoot that is widen it to 150 meters, 200 meters, because phones location services can be different depending on the phone and all that stuff. So that's just something, it's just a little nugget I like to drop for anybody that's interested in using the mobile app or their team using the mobile app, and also restricting clock in or clock out locations. So your team can use the mobile app to record their hours if you allow them to.
Awesome. I love this tool, and I would have really liked it when I was an hourly employee on the go. So very cool. Along with the attendance tool and clocking in and out, we have a question from Sandra, and she says, do we have any time clock integrations and integrations with payroll?
Hold on, what's the first part of that question again? I heard integrations with payroll at the end.
Yeah, just do we have any integrations with payroll?
Oh, okay.
So you can send that information.
Yeah. I have unsaved changes. WinAtWork does have integrations. So we have integrations that we've built out ourselves with payroll processing applications, or also like teamed up with the program to build one out. And then there's also a handful of integrations that have been built out from third-party people to WinAtWork. For any of those, like, since we didn't have anything to do with building it, all of any questions about those, like rippling or whatever, would have to be sent to them. So if you reach out about one of the third-party integrations, you might be redirected to speak to the people that developed it. But I can go over the ones that we have a hand in and that we can assist with and all of that. So here's integrations from When I Work. So our big three, I would say, are eight, or I guess ADP is one, but they have two different programs. Gusto is our most popular integration with a payroll processor. And then we also have two, technically three, with ADP. So we have one with ADP Run, ADP Workforce Now. We have a direct integration and then an older integration that just kind of pulls a report in the format ADP Workforce Now likes. So you can upload it. So you can choose which works best for you as well. And then other ones, we have Intuit QuickBooks Online, Paychex, Square, and Zapier. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And I gave it a little bit of a French twist. I don't know if that's appropriate or not. And then here's the integrations to When I Work that have been built out by third-party people. And then we also, if you're interested in other integrations, we have integrations we're considering here, and you can actually kind of cast your vote for the payroll integrations by just clicking I'm interested on any of these. And so yeah, Slack is a big one, Toast is a big one. Also have had a lot of people reach out about Paylocity. So that's a brief overview. If you have an integration with one of the payroll processors, once you process your payroll, you would close the pay period out. And I don't have any hours here, so it's not going to look anything. So once you close the pay period out, and you'd see all your employees' hours in a summary on this page, you'd click Export Period Hours, and then in this little window, any integrations that you have set up would kind of show there. And so you can click Send to Gusto, and it would shoot all of that data over to Gusto or over to ADP or over to Paychex, and makes it very, very easy. So good question about integrations.
Awesome. We have one more quick question about like the setup of When I Work, and then we can go ahead and transition, giving you all a little bit of resources to help you get started. But the last question that we have is, how can I make my employee a manager to help me schedule my team?
Ooh, it's a good one. Comes in a lot, especially for the new accounts. It is not all on you to manage the schedule. When I Work has 4 different access levels. So right now, the top access level is admin, and at this time, there can only be one admin on the account. I do want to give you a sneak preview that we're looking into some changes for that. So down the road, keep an eye out, because we might be adding some flexibility to where you can divvy out admin roles to other worthy people. So the admin is the main person. They're the only ones that have access to the account and billing page, which I don't in this account, but access to the account and billing page to manage the account, to add or subtract users from the subscription, the whole shebang there. And then the second highest access level is the manager access level. Just a brief overview of that. They can manage all employees and all schedules in the account, regardless of what schedules they're assigned to in their profile. And then there's the supervisor access level, which is one step down from manager and one step up from employee. And they can manage schedules that they are assigned to in their profile, and employees that are assigned to a common schedule as they are. So there's a little bit of a limitation on the supervisor access level. They also can't view any like wage or rate information, but you can give them that ability if you'd like. So it goes admin, manager, supervisor, and then there's the employee level, which doesn't have any of like the settings access or managing shifts or managing shifts or viewing other people's timesheets, anything like that. They're just the employee level. And we have a great guide, it's called Access Privileges, in our help center that goes over all of that in great detail. So you are not alone. You can divvy out responsibilities amongst your team and share the load a little bit.
Great. And now that we're about a minute or two from when we are done with the webinar, we have a lot of resources for you all, and Tori will go over those as well.
Yeah. All right. So can you see, are you on the slide with me now?
Gotcha.
Perfect. I fixed it. Yeah, so for the first thing I just wanted to highlight is Wait, this is our so our kind of entry level, our main plan for small businesses, or if you're just kind of exploring when I work and aren't looking into the enterprise option, is our small business plan. Our suggestion is for up to 100 employees, but if you have more than 100 employees, or if you gain more as you're using when I work, we're not going to kick you off of the small business plan if you go over 100 employees. It's a great it's a great plan. We reorganized our plan structures to simplify them a couple months ago, but the small business plan includes team scheduling, team member availability, the communication tools like work chat and sending emails and text messages. You can have as many job sites as you want, as many schedules as you want in that plan. Auto scheduling is not extra, it is included in that plan as well. And you also have things like task management, OpenShift requests, and also document storage on that. So that's if you're interested in what's next after your trial, check out the small business plan. It's great, and it really is kind of a one size fits all for most businesses, unless you're interested in the enterprise level plans. And then, as I mentioned before, the attendance platform is just an additional add-on. And that includes timesheets, time clocks, time tracker, pay period summary, integrations with payroll processors, the whole thing there. So to select a paid plan, if you're currently on a trial or your trial ends in the next week or so, you just log in to your profile in the web app, you select account and billing, and then upgrade my account. And again, only the admin level person can access this page. And then you just click checkout to activate your account. And yeah, and it's pretty straightforward. And again, if you have any questions about what plan fits best for you, we are here to help. Just chat in with us from the web app, and we'd love to help you figure out which one is the best fit for your business. All right, so that is a wrap, and we just want to thank you guys for showing up today, and hopefully we got some questions answered, and you feel a little bit more comfortable about setting things up or keeping things going, or using some tools you didn't know existed in When I Work. If you want to contact us, you can do that in the web app through the little chat icon. You will get Marie, you will get me, you will get our coworker Kara, and we love to help people. We love with onboarding setup, even just troubleshooting questions, whatever. Bring them all to us. We want to make sure that you're comfortable, that you're secure, and that you've got the info you need to use When I Work in the best way for your business. Our customer care team is also a great resource. If your employees have questions, they can reach out to them through the app. There's a submit a ticket option in the menu there, and on some of the mobile devices, there's a question mark at the top that you can just press and click submit a ticket. So we're totally cool with working with employees that are having any questions about the app or about the web app as well. So feel free to contact the customer care team, have your employees contact us with any questions. We are here to help. And did I forget anything, Marie?
No, those are all the steps. And ask us any questions if you get stuck along the way. And take a look at the chat bubble right now. We just sent out our onboarding packet. We just kind of curated all the tools and all the links that you need to get started, or if you have any trouble along the way. So copy and paste that. And if you have that information, you really will be good to go with When I Work. And definitely reach out if you have any trouble along the way.
Great. Thanks for picking up the slack, Marie.
Thanks, everybody.